Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Kill Team Battle Report. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, coming to you here from Savannah Line Games in Pooler, Georgia, where I'll be fighting a kill team game between my Genestealer Cult and Jason's Blood Angels. So the story that we've got going on here is that this was a planet that had been garrisoned by the Blood Angels, and during their time of holding this planet, they suddenly found themselves having to deal with some social disorder, civil disorder that had arisen on the planet. And as they were trying to figure out what was going on, they suddenly found themselves in the midst of a Genestealer Cult uprising, and up came the warriors of the four-armed emperor to come and claim this planet for them. So that's the story that we got going on. We are going to be playing the Disrupt supply lines as the Genestealer Cult are trying to disrupt the lines of the Astartes here. So that is one of the narrative missions here. So what happens is essentially there are 3 objectives here that were placed in the Defender Zone. These are, at the end of the game, are going to be worth 3 points each. But as the attacker, if I control an objective at the end of my turn, at the end of a battle round, I can actually spend a CP to destroy one, and that gets me a victory point, and obviously then it can't be controlled. Also, if at the end, if either of us are broken, the other opponent gets a point, and I get a point for each one I destroy, and we each get 3 points for each one that we control. So that is what we're going to do. My opponent is going to be the defender. I am the attacker, and that's how we're going to do it. So that is the mission, and that is the story that we've got going on here. Before we go any further, though, let's show you the 2 kill teams. So for the Genestealer Cult, my kill team will consist of, from the left, an Acolyte leader, who will be my leader. I then have a Pure Strain, who will be my scout specialist. I then have a Aberrant with a Power Hammer. He will be my combat specialist. I then have an Aberrant with a Power Pick, who will be my Zealot specialist. I then have 2 more Aberrants, one with a Power Hammer, one with a Power Pick, and an Acolyte. And then for the Blood Angels, his kill team will consist of, from left to right, a Scout Sergeant leader with a Bolter. He has an Intercessor with a Stalker Pattern Bolt Gun, an Auxiliary Grenade Launcher, and an Auspex. He will be his Demolitions Expert. We then have an Intercessor with a Stalker Pattern Bolt Gun, an Auxiliary Grenade Launcher, and an Auspex. He will be his Comm Specialist. We then have a Scout Gunner with a Heavy Bolter. He will be his Sniper Specialist. We then have 2 Intercessors with Stalker Pattern Bolt Guns, and a Scout with a Bolter. All right, deployment for the Genestealer Cult here. These 2 Aberrants, the one in the front being a regular Aberrant with a Power Pick, and the one behind it being my Zealot Specialist with a Power Pick. Both of them rolled on the Cult Ambush and were able to move up 6 inches over here. So they were deployed over here and then moved up 6 inches over here. I then have my Combat Specialist over here. He is back over here. He did not get the roll for his movement. These 2 guys, my leader and then the regular Acolyte, both didn't get their Cult Ambush, and neither did my regular Aberrant over here with the Power Hammer, and my Pure Strain doesn't get that. So that is going to be that's deployment for the Genestealer Cult. Going over deployment now for the Astartes here, the Blood Angels. We've got one of the regular Intercessors over here. We've got the Sergeant up on top. We then have the Demolitions Expert. We've got the Sniper Expert with the Heavy Bolter. Down below it, we have the Comm Specialist, and we have one of the other regular Intercessor. And down here, we have the other Scout. So that is the deployment for both armies. Now we will roll to see who will have the initiative going into turn 1. I roll an 11, my opponent rolls a 3, so I will be going first. We'll come back to you after a movement phase for the Genestealer Cult here on turn 1. All right, movement phase for the Genestealer Cult here on turn 1. My Aberrant here advanced up this way. This Acolyte advanced up here. My leader advanced up over here. My Aberrant advanced over here, and my Pure Strain advanced all the way up to there. He's the Scout. I rolled a 2 initially and then rolled a 5 on the re-roll because of him being my Scout Specialist. So that is all the moves. These 2 guys now are going to charge into his Intercessor over here. He cannot see me, so the front guy needs a 7-inch charge to get in. Getting it with a 10. And my other Aberrant is going to charge into him. I need an 8-inch charge to get him in. In with an 8-inch. All right, in movement phase for the Blood Angels, he has to stay in combat over here, and everybody else, everyone else readied themselves. I also meant to point out at the beginning of the game turn here of the battle round, my opponent spent 2 command points for a special stratagem for this mission alone for the defender for 2 CP at the end of the battle round, and I cannot destroy any objective that he is within 2 inches of. So anything that he's within 2 inches of, even if I controlled it, I would not be able to destroy it. So that is going to be it for the movement phase. We will come back to you with the shooting phase. All right, now into the shooting phase. He's going to start with his scout over here, who is going to fire into my pure strain. He's got 2 shots here, hitting on 4s because he's obscured. Getting 1 hit, wounding on a 4. That is a wound. That is not a save.
4.
He is out. All right, so now his heavy bolter guy is going to get the +1 from the comm specialist. He's going to shoot into my leader back over here. So he's got 3 dice. He's going to be hitting on 3s because of the +1 from the comms, -1 from being obscured.
And reroll 1s for.
And rerolling 1s because of sniper. All right, so this is all hits. These are now going to be wounding on 3s. Getting all wounds here. 3 6-up saves. Making none of them. Injury roll. He is out. All right, so now his demolitions expert is going to fire into my aberrant over here with the auxiliary grenade launcher. So he's going to have 1 shot here, hitting on a 4. No hit. And now the comm specialist here is going to fire into my aberrant over there. 1 shot hitting on a 4. No hit. His intercessor in the window there is going to fire into my acolyte, hitting on a 4. That is a hit. Wounding on a 3. That is a wound. AP -2. So it's, I think that just goes straight through. So here we go. Oh, wound. And his sergeant up here is going to fire the bolt gun into my dude bro down over here. 2 shots hitting on 4s. Getting 1 hit. Wounding on a 3. That is a wound. But that is a save. Woo! All right, so that's it for the shooting phase. Into the fight phase, we're going to start with my regular aberrant over here with the power pick. He is going to attack into the intercessor. He's got 2 attacks here, hitting on, these are going to be hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength user, so strength 5, looking for 3s to wound. Getting 1 wound, AP -2, so 5-up save. He's good. And now my zealot specialist is going to attack into him. He's got 3 attacks hitting on 3s. That's going to be 1 hit, wounding on a 3.
Make it count.
I'm going to spend a command point to reroll this one. Into a fill first, AP -2. He's takes a wound, so this is going to be D3 damage. So it's going to be 3 damage. So this will take him down to a to 0 wounds. So now we roll 3 dice on the injury roll. Take the highest, and he is out. All right, so at the end of the turn, we do have 1 morale test to take. I'm going to roll for his nerve test. I've got 2 guys out of action. So 2 + 5 is 7. He is good to go. But I did spend 1 command point over here to destroy this 1 objective over here because he didn't have anyone within 2 inches since I killed that dude, bro. So that is going to be it for the turn here. We're going to now roll to see who will have initiative going into turn 2. Okay, I roll double 1s. He rolls a 6 and a 3. So we will come back to you after a movement phase. Well, he's just going to ready everybody. So we'll come back to you again after movement phase for the Genestealer Cult here on turn 2. Movement phase for the Genestealer Cult here. All of these guys advanced. So my 3 aberrants over here and my acolyte all advanced up to the building up here. And my aberrant over here is now going to charge into his scout down over there. So Overwatch here. Hitting on a 6. No hits there. So his charge distance is totally in. All right, so starting off the shooting phase now, his scout gunner with the heavy bolter is going to fire into my zealot specialist down over here. He is going to spend a command point on hellfire rounds. So now he's going to roll 1 shot here. It's going to be, he also has the comms giving him +1, and he's going to be -1 because of obscured. So 1 shot hitting on a 3.
I'll use auspex as well to ignore
and he's going to use the auspex to ignore the penalty. So he's going to be hitting on a 2. Oh, no hit there. He's gonna. Oh, but re-rolling ones because of sniper into a hit. So D3 mortal wounds. 2 mortal wounds. So that does take him down. So this is now going to be an injury roll. 3, he takes a wound. All right, so now his demolitions expert is going to fire his auxiliary grenade launcher into my aberrant down over here. He's going to use the comms specialist Auspex to give him a ignoring the penalty to be being in cover over here. So he's going to be hitting on a 3. That is a hit. Strength 6. So that is a wound. AP -1. So looking for a 6 up. Show me that Phil first. No, goes through. So D6 damage. D3 damage. So that's going to be 2 damage. So that's going to be enough. Well, -1 damage because of the aberrant special rule. So he takes a wound.
No benefit.
And now his comm specialist is going to fire into him over here. This is going to be hitting on a 4. That is a hit. That is a wound. That is not a save. So his damage, regardless, actually, it doesn't make it. Well, it does make a difference because that's 2 damage. So he has 2 injury rolls onto him over here. Make it a 4. He is out of action. And now his intercessor in the window there is going to shoot into my wounded aberrant over here. He's going to be hitting on with a crack grenade. He's going to throw.
It's going to be the stalker pattern bolt.
The stalker pattern bolt gun. So that is not a hit. All right, so that's it for the shooting phase. Into the fight phase, my aberrant over here is going to attack into his scout. I've got the 2 attacks base. He's got the power hammer there. So these are going to be hitting on 2 attacks hitting on 4s because they're unwieldy. All right, I'm going to spend a command point to re-roll that. My only command point. Nope. Nope. All right, so now his scout down here gets to attack back. 1 attack. That's going to be not a hit.
Oh my God.
All right, so into the morale phase over here, I've got one guy who is who has an injury there, and he is going to be shook. So that's the nerve test there. At the end of the turn, I now have what do I have? Still got 4 guys. Well, I got 3. Oh, 1 second. All right, so at the I wanted to double check. So the testing to check if you were broken happens before nerve test. So because he failed his nerve test and he is shook, he can't do anything this turn. So at the end of next turn, I'm going to have to check to see if I'm broken because he's the 4th of my 7-man squad that would have made me check to see if I'm broken. But so far, I don't have to this time because you do it in the specific order. But next turn I'm going to have to check it regardless because I don't take off the shaken token until after I check to see if I am broken. But my opponent's fine. So at the end of the turn I did spend 1 CP to blow up that objective there, which leaves me with 2 points. My opponent has 0 points right now, so it's going to come down to see what he can do over with the final objective. So now we're going to roll to see who will be having the initiative here. I rolled a 5. My opponent rolled a 4. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Genestealer Cult here on turn 3. All right, so movement phase. He is shook. He is going to stay in combat, and my combat specialist over here is going to charge into both the intercessors on the 2nd floor there. So rolling to see what his charge distance is since I can't see him. Getting 8 inches. He's in. And then my my acolyte over here is going to charge into the his intercessor right over here and into the heavy bolter up there. So looking for his charge distance, getting 7 inches. All right, movement phase for the Blood Angels here. He stayed in combat. These 2 guys stayed in combat. He stayed in combat, and he advanced around the corner over here so he can get to the objective. And now this guy, his leader up here, is going to charge into my acolyte down over here. So his charge distance is totally in. All right, that's it for the movement phase. Into the shooting phase, his scout down here is going to shoot me with a bolt pistol. That is a hit. That is not a wound. All right, so starting off the fight phase, since I have initiative, we're going to go with my one of my chargers first. So he's going to attack into the heavy bolter guy over there. So he has 2 attacks with his rending claw here. So there's going to be 2 attacks hitting on 3s. That is 1 hit. Wounding on a 3. That is not a wound. And then I have 1 more attack with my... I'm actually going to spend a command point to reroll that. Into a 3. So that's going to be AP -1. So he's got a 5-up save. No, goes through. So injury roll. He's out. All All right, so now his scout sergeant gets to attack me since he charged. He's got 2 attacks hitting on 3s. That is 1 hit, wounding on a 3. That is a wound. That is not a save. Injury roll. Oh, he's out. All right, so now my combat specialist over here, Aberrant, is going to attack. He's going to put 2 attacks into his comm specialist, 1 attack into his regular guy over there. So we're going to do the 2 into the comm specialist first, hitting on 4s because they're unwieldy. That is going to be 1 hit, wounding on a 2. That is a wound. AP minus, 1 second. All right, AP minus 3, so looking for a 6. No, goes through, so that's going to be 3 damage, which will take him down to 0. So making injury rolls, and he is out. And then the 1 attack into the other intercessor. That is not a hit. Now his intercessor is going to attack into my guy over here. That is going to be 2 hits. That is no wounds. All right, so now my guy down over here is going to attack in here. 2 attacks, hitting on 4s. Neither is a hit. And now his sergeant down here, or his scout down here gets to attack. That is not a hit. And now he's going to spend 2 command points on Honor the Chapter to have him attack in again. That is 2 hits. That is no wounds. All right, and that's the end here. Now we have morale test to take. I do have to check to see if I am broken, so we're going to roll to see if I am broken. 2d6. Highest leadership is 7 on the table right now. And I am not broken. I am good to go. So now we remove the shaken tokens from them. So I've got 1 guy who has a flesh wound. Let's see if he is going to be... I've got 4 guys out of action right now. His nerve test is 5. He's good to go. So we will come back to you. He doesn't have anyone that has to take any nerve tests here. So we will come back to you. No, now we have to roll to see who will have the initiative going into turn 4. So we're now going to roll to see who goes into turn 4. 1 second. Oh, here we go. To see if we go into turn 4. I get 3, he gets 10, so he will be going first. We'll come back to you after movement phase for the Blood Angels here on turn 4. Turn 4. All right, the movement phase, he's going to stay in combat, he's going to stay in combat, and then he is going to charge in over here, and he is way in, and then he is going to charge in over there. And he also gets in. And then for the Genestealer Cult, he is going to charge into his intercessor over here, making it with a 7. Shooting phase, his scout over here is going to fire his bolt pistol. That is a hit. That is a wound. That is a save. All right, the fight phase is now going to start. His intercessor here is going to attack into my Aberrant. That is no hits. And now my Zealot specialist over here is going to attack into his intercessor. I've got 3 attacks on the charge, hitting on 4s because he's got a flesh wound.
Oh my god.
Wow.
We're good.
All right, I'm going to spend a command point on re-rolling 1 of those, looking for a 4. Yeah, getting the hit. Wounding on a 3. That is a wound. AP minus 2, so 5 up save. He's good. And now his scout leader is going to attack into my Aberrant over there. 2 attacks. Getting no hits. All right, his intercessor is now going to attack into my Aberrant over here. Getting 2 hits. Getting 1 wound. No save, so he takes a wound. All right, so now my Aberrant down here is going to attack into his intercessor. I'm going to put 2 attacks into him, hitting on 4s because it's a power hammer. Getting nothing. And now his scout's going to attack. Not a hit. And now my Aberrant here is going to, my combat specialist is going to put 2 attacks into the intercessor, 1 attack into his leader there. So 2 attacks into the intercessor. That is going to be 2 hits. These are now going to be wounding on 2s. That is 1 wound. AP minus 3, 6 up save. Oh, he makes it. And then the 1 attack into the leader. That's a hit.
Roll a 1. Oh.
Wow, that is real special. Now my opponent's going to spend 2 command points on the sergeant to attack into my Aberrant over here. 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. That is 1 hit. That is no wound. All right, so that is the end of the turn. I have to now check to see if I am broken. I am not. I'm still around. All right, so I do have to check to see the 1 guy here with a nerve test. So I've got 4 guys out of action there. 4 plus 2 is 6. He is good to go. My opponent does not have to do anything. So that is going to be it for turn 4 here. Now we roll to see if the game ends. It does not. It goes on. So now we will roll to see who has initiative. My opponent will have the initiative, so we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Blood Angels.
Unless you're...
All right, we're actually both, neither of us are going to move, so we're both going to stay in combat there. So we'll come back to you with the shooting phase. All right, so we're now into the shooting phase. His scout is going to fire his bolt pistol into my aberrant. That is a hit. That is not a wound. Now his intercessor is going to do the same thing. That is a hit. That is a wound. That is a save with a filth phase. Woo! And now his scout sergeant is going to fire his pistol. Whoop, off the table. That is a hit. That is not a wound. And his intercessor is going to fire into the same guy over there. That is not a hit. Into the fight phase, his scout sergeant is going to start us off here into my aberrant. That is 2 hits. That is 2 wounds.
Your toughness 4?
Toughness 4, yeah.
Oh, shit.
I think so. Strength 5, toughness 4.
I'll always remember.
Making both saves though. Woo! All right, now my aberrant down here is going to put 2 attacks into his intercessor over there, hitting on 4s, getting 1 hit, wounding on a 2. That is a wound. 6 up save. No, goes through, so that's 3 damage, making his injury rolls out of action. And now his intercessor here is going to attack into my zealot specialist over here. So 2 attacks. Neither of those hit. So now my zealot specialist is going to attack into his intercessor. 2 attacks, hitting on 4s because he's got the flesh wound. Neither hits. And now his scout over here is going to attack into my aberrant. That is a hit. That is not a wound.
This last time.
And now my combat specialist is going to put 2 attacks into the intercessor, 1 into the leader. See if I can do better this turn. All right, here we go. 2 attacks into the intercessor, hitting on 4s. Getting 1 hit. Getting a wound with a filth face. 6 up save. No, goes through. And he is out of action. And the 1 attack into the leader. Not a hit. I'm going to spend my 1 CP into a hit. Into a wound. That's just going to go straight through. And he is out of action. And now my opponent's going to spend 2 command points to honor the chapter down here. That is a hit. That is a wound. That is not a save, so he takes a wound. All right, so the end of the turn here, morale phase. You have to see if we are broken, starting with him since he has initiative. So 2d6 into a 7. He is good to go. Now see if I am broken. I am broken, so I broke right there. So that means all of my guys now have to take nerve tests. So I've got 4 guys missing. So we're gonna start with this guy down here. So he's got 4 plus 5 is 9. He is shook. This guy up here, 4 plus 1, he's good to go. And over here onto my other guy, Zealot Specialist, he is also shook. So all but the middle guy there are shook. So now we'll come back to you with, he doesn't have to, oh, he does, no, he doesn't have to take because he didn't break. So let's see if the game goes on. It does, so we'll now roll to see who has initiative. My opponent rolled a 7, as did I, so re-roll. My opponent rolled a 7, I rolled a 10. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Genestealer Cult here on turn 5.
Fail.
All right, so now my the only move I'm going to make is him charging into his lone scout down there. And he is in. All right, so that is going to be it for the movement phase because he can't, since I charged him, he can't fall back. So we're going to go straight into the fight phase since he can't shoot since he got charged. So my combat specialist has got 3 attacks hitting on 4s. 5s because I'm broken. 5s because I'm broken. Not getting anything. I'm going to spend my 1 CP to re-roll. No, don't get it. And now he's going to attack back. That's a hit. That is a wound. That is not a save. So, roll an injury roll because now he's they're dead. No, takes another flesh wound.
Kelly.
He's going to spend a CP to re-roll it. No, still. All right, so at the end we have morale phase. See if he is broken. Oh, he is broken there. So, the nerve test doesn't matter because that's the end of the game at the end of turn 5 here. So at the end of turn 5, we both got a point for breaking each other. I got 2 points for destroying these 2 objectives and 3 points because I had 2 guys within 2 inches of this one to control this one for that. So it is a Genestealer Cult victory. We successfully managed to disrupt the supply lines just as we planned. So I guess the uprising is going to continue, and the Blood Angels will have to try to find a way to put it back down. So I had a blast. This was a lot of fun playing this mission. It was just kind of cool to see how it played out, how a lot of these things happen. And at the beginning there, when he was just taking my guys out willy-nilly, just shooting them, I was like, oh boy, this might be a quick one. But I managed to get into combat, and once the aberrants really get into combat, they really start to shine, which is pretty awesome. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil the Glacial Geek. As always, my opponent's been Jason, and until next time, have fun.